Hey yogis, welcome back. Namaste. Today we'll be moving through a full-length Vinyasa practice to review and to fuel Manipura Chakra, the chakra of the navel of the solar plexus. So get ready to build a little bit of fire and make sure you have the props that you need ready for you. So today you're definitely going to want 2 blocks. Always a great idea to have a blanket to support your joints. We'll be twisting, and so if you know that you like bind options, then your strap might be handy. Otherwise, the binds will always be optional. And then, of course, a bolster or pillow if you want to elevate your hips during the meditation integration portions of the practice. So once you have everything set and ready for the practice, go ahead and come down to a seat. Lift your hips up a little bit higher than your knees. And then take your thumb to the second knuckle of your ring finger on either hand. This is Anjali Mudra. So your thumb touches into the second knuckle of your ring finger. Roll your palms open upward to the sky. So we have the fire finger consuming the earth finger. Palms open upward. If it's safe, allow your eyes to gently close. And bring your awareness toward Manipura. So it's this space between just above the navel and just where your either side of your rib cage kind of come to meet one another, that soft spot at center, the solar plexus. And that is the seat of fire in your system of Agni. And so Anjali Mudra, connecting you to your internal fire. You might visualize the color of your third chakra, your solar plexus chakra. It's represented by yellow. So notice what form on the gradient of yellow comes into your mind. Is it kind of bright, brilliant, like the sun? Is it more of like a rust or mustard yellow? Just notice what comes to the surface of your mind as we pause to observe in these first few moments of the practice. And if you haven't already found it, you can begin to deepen the movement of your breath. Invite your inhales and your exhales both through the nose. And start to fan your inner flames by layering on Ujjayi pranayam to build subtle fire. So inhales and your exhales move through your nose. And with your exhale, look for that very subtle, partial closure at the back of your throat for a whooshing, a rumbling ocean sound on your Ujjayi breath. Start to fan the flames of your fire. One more breath here. Then you can go ahead and release that mudra. Roll up over feet and ankles toward tabletop, or you can slide your feet around behind you. So remove any prop you may have had underneath your hips. And take a seat back onto your heels. If this is uncomfortable in any way for hip, knee, or ankle joints, you can elevate your hips by stacking up a couple blocks underneath your sits bones. Take your right hand as a soft fist and place it just below your navel. And then wrap your left palm around your right. We'll start to activate the spine by moving it in a very fluid, wave-like motion that unites with that fiery Ujjayi breath. So as you exhale, lead with your heart. Wave your spine down toward the earth. The third eye point can be the absolute last to fall or to land. And then inhale, lift up from the backside of your heart all the way towards center. So we come into a very gentle, visceral massage. You don't need to poke or prod any deeper. Just the shape of your gentle fist will do the work, will make the effort for you. So move with your breath. Exhale guides you forward. Inhale, lift from the backside of your heart all the way towards seated. A few more rounds. Manipur, I love this, the translation of this chakra is lustrous gem. So I like to think of it as this beautiful topaz hidden there in the solar plexus that needs a little bit of fire in order to be polished up. That inner fire. Come all the way on back towards center. So remember, you can always prop the seat up or even take crisscross Sukhasana in the front if this is uncomfortable for your joints. Interlace your fingers, touch your elbows together in the midline, and start to roll some figure eights with your wrists. We'll be relying a lot on some steadiness and stability in the upper body joints today, as well as rounding into lots of twists to feed that flame, the fire at the torso, that middle third of the body. It's where Pitta resides, the fire. Reverse the direction if you haven't already. And then come on back towards center. You can rest your hands down to your lap. Draw your chin toward your sternum and take gentle half rolls. Lift the tip of your nose up over one shoulder and then the other. Maybe big full circles with your nose all the way around in one direction. And the other. And go ahead and make your way back toward neutral. Inhale, all 10 fingertips up high. We're just early on in the practice, so this can be taken without force or strain. Exhale to bring your right hand to the outside of your left thigh. Just one breath, one movement. Inhale, reach high. And exhale, left hand comes to your outer right thigh. You can tent up onto your right fingertips behind you. Keep your trunk really nice and tall and your heart lifted. Your inhale guide you towards center. Exhale to twist. We'll take one more on each side. So twist towards your left. Inhale to center. And twist towards your right. Bring it all the way back towards center. Breathe your hands right on down through midline. An Anjali Mudra, just a quick check-in here with your sankalpa, with your intention, honing in on that fire within, that which lights you up, cleaning off that lustrous gem within. And then go ahead and slide your sits bones down to one side. Sneak your feet around toward the front. And you can support underneath your thighs and float your toes, float your heels rather, heels into alignment with the knees. Of course, anyone that would like can take a straight leg variation for Navasana. We'll be doing an alternation between half and full boat here. So I recommend the bent knee variation. It kind of seems to lend itself better to this breath by breath vinyasa, but certainly if you like that straight legged variation and you really want to stoke your fire, you can go for that too. So come here with bent knees, reach your fingertips toward the front edge of the mat, Navasana. And then exhale, kick through the heels, lengthen trunk, lengthen your legs, Ardha Navasana. Rise and exhale, extend. Inhale to rise, exhale, extend. Take two more. Remember, you're drawing your navel back toward lumbar. So we're going to start to layer in the bandhas as a review here. Those really help to stoke the fire, right? And in particular, Uddiyana Bandha is attached with solar plexus. So tuck the navel back to low spine. Last one. And breathe all the way up. Hug your knees in, land your toes. You can round your back, rest your forehead. And then go ahead and come to lie all the way down onto the earth. Lie all the way down onto the earth. Take your right ankle to rest atop your left thigh. So you're making a figure four with your lower body. And then draw your left knee up and in towards your heart. You can interlace your fingers underneath your thigh and hang here. You can also rest your left foot atop a stack of blocks, or you can extend your left leg long and kind of squeeze back in toward your heart. So you get to gauge the level of sensation that you receive here in supine pigeon. And then on your exhale, if you have your leg extended, go ahead and bend your knee, come all the way down, land to the sole of your left foot, untangle your legs, take a breath. And let's swap sides. So bring the left ankle atop your right thigh with nice active toes. You have the option to stay here to prop up your right foot on blocks, or interlace your fingers and hug your right knee deep into your heart. Of course, for gauging a little more or less edge, you can extend your leg as well. Breathe into the expression that's exactly right for your body at this moment. Remember to breathe. And then mindfully, if you have your leg extended, come all the way down, land your right foot to the earth, untangle, bring both feet right together at midline. Allow the knees to hinge upward, open on the inseam toward the sky for just a few breaths, a more active Baddha Konasana, so you can press your feet really active into one another at the midline and breathe. If it's helpful, bring your palms right to that solar plexus area. Maybe you start to feel a little bit of warmth being cultivated there. And then use your hands to help draw your knees up and in toward midline. Once again, just like the bent leg Navasana variation, float your ankles so they're lined up with your knees, but this time you're going to keep your trunk down onto the earth. And I find it very helpful. Just going to slide my equipment out of the way here. I find it very helpful to keep my palms facing down with this really active spinal twist, but of course, if you like it, you can keep your arms and palms facing up as well. So you'll exhale, there's gonna be a deep, deep squeeze in toward midline. In fact, you could take a block between your upper thighs to help with that engagement as well, to build the muscle memory. Keep the knees squeezing in toward midline and drop them both toward the right. They don't need to land. When you feel your knees start to stagger or your left shoulder start to lift, that's where you pause. And then inhale to center. So this is really active. Keep your toes drawing back. Exhale, squeezing your knees tight together toward the left. No need to touch the earth. You can turn your gaze over your right fingertips and then inhale back to center. We're going to do another round each side. Drop both knees toward your right. And back through center. Drop both knees toward your left. And all the way back towards center. Release the soles of your feet back down to the earth. Bring your arms back down alongside your ribs. Flip the palms so that they're facing down. And then on your inhale, lift the crests of your hips upward toward the sky. Press really actively with your palms into the earth. So if you can find a little bit more lift, this usually feels pretty good after those fiery core practices. And exhale back down. Setu Bandhas. Now we're going to start to take it one breath, one movement. So inhale, reach the crests of your hips high. If you'd like, you can add in a reach of your arms way up and back overhead. And then exhale, down. We'll take two more. So with or without the addition of your arms, yogi's choice. Inhale, float the crests of your hips. Really squeeze your glutes at the bottom for a little extra lift, or you can even press to the tips of your toes and exhale back down. Last one, inhale to rise. And exhale down to the earth. Bring your arms out wide once again. Rest your knees together at midline. Take a breath. And then start to wag your knees from side to side. Slow it on down, bring it to center. Take a couple rolls up and down the length of your spine if this is comfortable and safe for your practice. If not, you can roll down to one side. We'll be moving toward tabletop, so you can meet us there. If rocking and rolling, crisscross your ankles, roll right up through. And go ahead and land down, knees underneath hips, wrists and elbows beneath your shoulders. We're gonna take just a little bit more spinal movement before we come to standing, so you can roll some circles with your ribs. A little bit of cat and cow breath. Those side lengtheners are also going to be really great for Manipura. So tuck your 10 toes under behind you, drop your sits bones towards your heels, and then walk on tented fingertips all the way out and off the left edge of your mat. Drop your sits bones down towards your right heel. So we're going to keep this really active. I know it looks a lot like child's pose, but we're going to keep it active and fiery. Smooth out your breath. And then inhale, float your gaze, walk right on through center. Still tented up on your fingertips, walk all the way over and off the right edge of your mat. Drop your sits bones this time down toward your left heel. Big breath up the left side body. And then breathe it all the way back towards center. Press into your palms, spread your fingers wide, round your back to lift. We're gonna do a little mini practice review of the bandhas here before we start bringing it into more active asana. So in a tabletop, begin first by drawing your chin toward your sternum, toward your chest, but then find like a little lift back so that your neck spine really finds a lot of length. Jalandhara Bandha. You can release that. Soften your gaze forward between your index fingers. Now scoop your navel up and back towards your lumbar, and then remember there's like a wave-like action as if you want to roll your belly button up and under your ribs. So it's a draw back towards your lumbar and then a lift up and under your ribs so that everything here, you're really holding that flame right up to Manipura. And then go ahead and release. That's Uddiyana Bandha. Last one, draw the pelvic floor up and in. You might even find or feel a little bit of gluteal engagement. That's okay. It's like holding in all the sphincter muscles, the gotta go pee muscles. Lift all the way up and in. And then go ahead and release. So that one's Mula Bandha, just as a quick review. We'll be layering these onto the practice. These are really great for helping support Manipura and building that inner fire. So tuck your 10 toes under behind you. Reach your hips high and back. You can pedal your knees out on this first one or leave them softly bent. And then inhale your gaze forward. Take a walk, just one single footprint at a time. Slow motion walk all the way up toward the tippy top of your mat. And we'll take a couple half salutations. So inhale just halfway up to fingertips or your shins. You can always grab your blocks if they're handy. Exhale and fold. On an inhale, Uddiyana Bandha, scoop your navel back toward lumbar, then roll it up under the ribs and rise, Untitled Chapter. On your exhale, breathe right back down to your fold. We'll take this for a couple rounds. Fold, Ustrasana. Inhale to halfway lift. Notice what's happening with pelvic floor. Find a lift up and in so that all the lowest part of the belly is really nice and active. Now draw your lumbar or your navel back to your lumbar before you rise. Breathe your hands to your heart. Just one more. Inhale, reach high. Lift up your pelvic floor, keep that engaged, roll all the way forward to Tanasana without losing that engagement in pelvic floor. Lift up halfway and then draw navel back. Keep that. Super active, reach all the way up toward the sky. Breathe your hands together. Anjali Mudra, you can rest your hands to Manipura, solar plexus. Check in with how that fire is growing within you, shining up that lustrous gem. Maybe note the color yellow. Once again, this is our center of personality, our identity. So we get our survival needs met. We start to tune into our creativity, have a little bit of fun, and now this is where we really start to identify ourselves and notice that unique fire that burns within. Inhale to reach your arms wide and high. Bring your gaze up to follow your fingertips. And then exhale to hinge all the way forward. Uttanasana. Remember to block, serrate to the earth. Inhale, come just halfway up to fingertips or your shins. And then exhale, plant your palms, root your knuckles, step all the way back. Palakasana, plank pose, so shoulders above elbows and wrists. Remember, draw your navel in. So anything that requires a lot of strength, if you feel a little shaky, a little trembly, those bandhas are going to help you control the fire that you're building. So keep your neck spine nice and long, scoop your navel, lift up your pelvic floor. 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and land your knees on this first one. Knees, and then rest your chest and then your chin. Squeeze your elbows toward your ribs, slide your heart through, rest the crests of your hips, and roll your shoulders back. Tent up on your fingertips. We'll take a couple rounds here. Lift your heart and exhale down. Lift your heart and exhale down. One more. Lift your heart, squeeze the shoulder blades toward the midline, exhale down. Now root your palms, press back through table, tuck your 10 toes, reach all the way high and back, Adho Mukha Svanasana. You can step your feet in just about a footprint closer than your typical down dog, and then maybe like 1 foot width wider on either side. Reach your right hand back. It can connect anywhere from your hip or all the way down towards your heel. So as I said, twists are going to be a vital component toward building our fire and getting into that mid-torso, middle third of your body, where the fire resides. So let your head hang down heavy, twist your gaze underneath your left elbow, and breathe. Lift up your pelvic floor, scoop your navel back. Notice how that helps you twist and squeeze deeper, but without force, of course. And then release all the way on back. If you're in it and you're wanting more fire, you can roll your weight forward between sides and take a vinyasa either with knees afloat or landed. Feel free to build that on or hold right at downward facing dog. That's where we'll meet. So remember, the feet are like 1 footprint, a little closer and about 1 foot width wider. This time around, take your left hand either up towards your hip or all the way down to your heel. Spin your gaze right underneath your right elbow. Remember to breathe, nice deep twist, lift your pelvic floor, draw your navel back, and then upward under the ribs. Bring it all the way back towards center. Take a breath here. You can step back to your natural down dog. And I want to explore here with Maha Bandha, the master lock, which is all 3. So draw your chin in toward your chest and then scoop the back of your head back. So lots of length in the neck spine. Draw your navel towards your back and then lift your pelvic floor. All 3 bandhas, all 3 locks engaged, Maha Bandha, lots of fiery power and strength here. You can notice how these subtle tools in the practice really change the power for fire and stability without moving at all. All of a sudden this becomes so much more fiery. And then go ahead and release. Release pelvic floor, release the tummy, release the length of the neck. Land both knees down onto the mat. Keep your right knee stacked directly behind your right palm and right wrist. Step your left foot out long. So you have a little bit of a line, 3 points of contact, right hand, right knee to left foot. And you can press into the pinky toe edge. So modified side plank here. As you feel steady, reach your left fingertips high. You can lift your gaze up to follow. If you're feeling really steady, stable, strong, tuck the navel back. Perhaps modified half moon, you can float the outer blade of your left leg and reach high. Half moon, remember to breathe. 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and land your foot back down if you're afloat. Keep everything here, all points of your foundation here. And we're gonna take like a little half thread the needle. So exhale, as if you're gonna thread your left fingertips under your right arm. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. We're like squeezing a dish rag. Deep twist, inhale, expand. Good, 2 more. Exhale, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And then inhale, stoking the fire. 1 more. Exhale, squeeze, nice deep twist. Inhale, reach high. Good. And then go ahead and land your left palm down, land your left knee down. You can take some movement with your spine between sides, or of course take a vinyasa if you want to lift back to down dog and take a plank and chaturanga. Let's take it over to the other side. So this time, leave your left palm landed and your left knee landed. Extend your right leg out long, press into the outer blade, the right pinky toe edge. As you feel steady, lift your pelvic floor, tuck your navel to your lumbar, reach your right fingertips high. And your gaze can follow so long as you feel steady. Of course, if you'd like to explore from there, perhaps float the outer edge of your right leg, modified half moon. Keep your toes drawing back and active. Breathe. Come all the way back down to the outer blade of your right foot. If you're not landed there already, we're going to take that little squeegee for the inner fire. Shine up that lustrous gem. So thread your right fingertips as if you'll pass underneath your left arm. And then inhale, reach high. Exhale, thread as if you're going to drop all the way under and reach high. One more round. Exhale, thread. And inhale, reach high. Nice. And then go ahead and circle. Land your right palm, land your right knee. Tuck your 10 toes under behind you and reach high and back. Take a few breaths here. You can play with Bandhas, experiment and explore which is the most nurturing for your fire. Can you lift the pelvic floor? That one's grounding and stabilizing, right? Can you roll the navel under the ribs? That one's illuminating, more expansive. Bring your gaze forward to your fingertips, walk, lunge, or hop all the way up. On your inhale, slide halfway, Parso Tanasana. Exhale to fold more deeply. And then lift the navel back before you rise. I know it's tricky to remember to incorporate these. It's like new tools, and now I have to build the muscle memory. Breathe your hands all the way down to heart center. Samastitihi. Here we go. Make sure your big toes are touching at center. You can leave a little bit of space between your heels and spread the rest of your 10 toes out wide. And then inhale, sink your sits bones way down low, reach 10 fingertips high, Ustrasana. Pull your palms together, sweep your right elbow all the way across midline, hook it to the outside of your left thigh, and then pull your thumbs toward your sternum. You can turn your gaze all the way back over your left elbow. Now, lift up pelvic floor, find your Mula Bandha, draw your navel back. See if you have a little bit more space to expand into your twist. Release back to center, lift your sits bones, forward fold. Draw your navel back, rise all the way to the sky. We're going to revisit that. Draw your hands together to heart center. With your inhale, drop sits bones low, your big toes touch, reach all 10 fingertips high, Ustrasana. Exhale, pull your hands together to your heart and draw your left elbow all the way across midline, hook to your outer right thigh. Now, draw your thumbs together right toward your sternum so your gaze can go back over your right elbow. Remember to breathe. Draw your pelvic floor up. Scoop your navel back. And then exhale, fold all the way forward. Inhale to lift halfway up, rock to your fingertips or up to your blocks. Exhale, fold all the way forward. And then with the lift of your navel, roll it all the way up to standing. Breathe your hands together to your heart. Check in here. So again, I invite you to bring your hands to your solar plexus as a check-in here. You may notice you feel a little bit of a sense of your pulse, of your heart rate. We're not moving through fast or quick vinyasa, but we're utilizing our tools to formulate the best fire for our unique system. So this use of the bandhas adds that stabilizing element but it's also a super heating component of the practice. So tune in here and notice if you feel a difference in your body temperature and your heart rate. Maybe you're sweating a little more than usual. Just notice. And then go ahead and inhale, do half sun salutation. Meet together back at downward facing dog. Exhale to hinge forward. Inhale just to halfway. You can layer on your bandhas here the way that works best for you. Option to move through Vinyasa. I recommend if you're in it, if you're building the fire, slide your shoulders above your wrists and then elbows only to your ribs. Inhale to expand from your heart. Lift and lengthen the front side of your body. Roll slowly up and back over your toes. On back to downward facing dog. Inhale your right leg high. Bring your gaze forward, step your right foot all the way up through or help it up through. You can land your left knee down behind you. Great spot for a blanket if you like to cushion your knee. And then go ahead and walk both hands up atop your thigh and bring your hands together to Anjali. We'll move into a twist, but I want to do it very, very slowly and intentionally. So fire does not mean you have to move fast. We're going to build a lot of strength, stability, and fire by moving very intentionally and very mindfully here. So take a tall twist as if you want to stack your left elbow atop your right knee, but keep everything tall. Lift up that pelvic floor. Scissor both thighs inward toward midline and hold. Now, if you're not already there, draw the navel back. You might find a little bit more length there. If you feel super stable and you're building a lot of fire, you can stay right where you are. Otherwise, if you can maintain all this side body length, hook your left elbow to the outside of your right thigh. Remember to lift your heart and sternum toward the spot where your thumbs create a seam. If you're still feeling steady there, tuck your left toes under behind you. And float. Parrita Trikonasana. Now, if you feel like you're collapsing down and there's not strength and there's not fire there, then take it back a step or two, right? So it's more important to have the integrity of the posture. Lots of side body strength and length, lots of stability. Hold wherever you're at for 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and exhale to frame your front foot. If your back knee is not afloat, you can bring it there now. Step your right foot back, reach your hips high. Always an option to Vinyasa. Otherwise, pause here and breathe. Check in with your bandhas. The center of our being, the third chakra, it's that which ignites us, which propels us. So you can do it. We're over halfway there. Lift your gaze forward. Float your left leg high. Bring your gaze forward. Step your left foot all the way up through. You can land your right knee down. Walk both hands up atop your left thigh. And then bring both hands together, Anjali at your heart. So remember, we're going to move through in slow stages. It's not about how quickly you move we're not looking for like an explosive or out of control fire. We're looking for a contained and very intentional fire. So keep your trunk lifted. Draw the pelvic floor up. Scissor both thigh bones inward toward midline and then spin like you want to stack your right elbow atop your left knee. If you feel like you can maintain this side body length and stability and maintain that navel fire, then go ahead and connect right elbow to the outside of your left thigh. Then pull your sternum toward the seam between your thumbs. You have the option to hang out here, or otherwise tuck your right toes behind you or under you at the back and float your right knee. Remember to lift, lengthen, draw the pelvic floor up, scoop your navel back. If you're down here, take it down a notch. Look for that fire, the stability, the integrity in the posture. Remember to breathe. 3, 2, and 1. Unwind. Bring your hands back to the earth. Frame your left foot. Float your right knee if you're not already there. Step all the way back. Take a few breaths. Remember, you can Vinyasa here. And then lift your gaze forward, walk, lunge, or hop your way to the top edge of your mat. Lift halfway. Exhale to fold. Draw your navel back. This is beautiful strength for your low back. As we develop the bandhas, our low back is going to get a lot more strong and stable too. Breathe your hands together to your heart. Okay, so make sure you have both of your blocks. Take them to the tallest height at the top edge of your mat. You'll definitely want your blocks handy in this next sequence. Keep your right foot landed exactly where it is and take a step just like 2/3 of your warrior stance back. You can spin your left heel down and then lengthen your right leg. So it's nice and strong. You want this quadricep activated without really, locking in your knee. You can press your hands to the crests of your hips. Lead with your heart, really stable. Lift your pelvic floor. Lean your weight forward. Parso Tanasana. Press into the outer blade of your left foot. As you get toward a spot where your heart feels even with your hips, you can land your palms onto your blocks. Perhaps there's space to deepen the edge or deepen your fold. And you probably guessed we're going to add in a twist element. So if you're bent a little bit deeper, lengthen your elbows. Bring your right hand back to your right hip. Take your left hand across your right shin to the block that's at the pinky toe edge. So if this feels like enough of a twist, or if you're starting to lose stability, then stay here and play with it. Layer on your bandhas, right? Focus on stabilizing your fire. If you feel pretty steady and strong, find length in your ribs, like an accordion, lengthen it out. Crown of your head to the top edge of the mat. Perhaps reach your right fingertips high. Parrita Trikonasana. Press super rooted into the left, into the pinky toe edge of your left foot behind you. See if you can find any more length in your trunk. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and land your right hand back towards your hip. Fold it forward. You can take both hands to both blocks. Take a fold. Bring your gaze up and beyond your right toes. Bend into your right knee. Slide on up to your tippy toes behind you and take a step forward, Uttanasana. Leave your blocks right where they are so they'll be handy for the second side. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, deepen your fold. And then go ahead and rise all the way to standing. Breathe your hands together to your heart. Here we go, second side. So your left foot will stay right where it's at this time. Take a step about 2/3 of your warrior stance back and then spin your right heel down. Lengthen your left leg. Get your quadricep nice and active. And you have your hands here on the crests of your hips. They're like little stabilizers, like antennas to read how stable your hips and pelvis are. So lift up the pelvic floor, and then that Uddiyana Bandha is going to help you find the length of your ribs and your torso as you fold, because there's going to be a tendency to kind of round and crunch here, but we want to keep that channel nice and open so that the light and the fire can burn. So hinge forward when you feel like your heart is lined up with your hips. Go ahead and take your hands onto your blocks. Parso Tanasana, press into the right pinky toe edge behind you. You can activate your right side glutes to kind of hinge that hip forward, and if there's space, maybe deepen your fold. Inhale to float your gaze up and beyond your left toes. Bring your left hand back to your hip. Take your right hand across the body. So right hand comes to the pinky toe edge. If you're working on stabilizing your fire, then stay right here. Right hand to your block. You can even keep your gaze grounded. Look for length inside bodies and the ribs. Look for steadiness of your focal point. If you feel super stable there, start to spin your gaze up and back over your left elbow. Perhaps reach your left fingertips high. Those students that have been practicing with me for years and years know that I've shared so many times this has been my arch nemesis pose. So if you're feeling that, maybe you can find some solace there. Lift up your pelvic floor, draw your navel back, look for length like a telescope expanding in the side body. Take 2 more breaths. Parrita Trikonasana, rooted in your right pinky toe edge. And then go ahead and exhale, come all the way back down and take a fold. Inhale your gaze forward, take a bend into your left knee, step your right foot all the way up, fold it down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Take a wide wingspan, scoop your navel up, big lift in the pelvic floor, fiery, strong, and stable. Breathe your hands to your heart. Okay, so we're gonna take one more twist, a beautiful twist I love, one of my favorites, as a standing balance. So you can spread the toes of your right foot. I'm gonna turn this way so you can see a little better. Spread the toes of your right foot. Make sure you're landing into all edges of your whole foot. And then float your left knee up and into alignment with your left hip. You can also find lift in the pelvic floor. You can also tuck your navel back. And then come on out to cactus arms. Make sure your left toes are active. Shiva twist. On your exhale, it's kind of like that stage by stage twist we did from our lunge. You're gonna squeeze as if you're stacking your right elbow atop your left knee. And if you're losing length and height, if there's rounding, then back it up. You can take it just a notch or 2 back, right? If you feel steady and stable, twist, twist, twist as you find length and height. 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and squeeze back to center. Press palms together with control. Land your left foot down. We're going to swap sides. So you can roll the toes, even it out. And then make your left foot base or foundation. Spread the toes nice and wide. Find all edges. Roll the right knee up so it's lined up with your right hip. And then come on out toward cactus arms. Shiva twist. Here we go. Maintain the length. So the fire needs that space to expand, to grow. The light needs that space. When we get all kind of crunchy and folded, we start to dim our light. We start to dim that lustrous gem of Manipura. Remember to breathe. 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and roll it back to center. Press your hands together to your heart. Bring your right foot down with control. Take a pause here at the top edge of your mat. And then inhale, take your arms wide and high. Exhale, hinge forward. Come all the way down, Uttanasana. Lift just halfway, fingertips or shins. This is your last chance for a Vinyasa, if that's on your plate for your practice today. If you'd like, knees landed or a float, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale to lengthen the front side of your body. Lift and lengthen your gaze. Roll up and back over your toes, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Okay, here we go. So step your feet together. Roll to the outer blade of your right foot. So if you already know Vashisthasana or the side plank is not in your practice, lots of options. You can step your left foot forward so you have support here. You can step your left foot back so you have support here. You can also step your right knee down and come back to that half variation that we explored at the start of practice. So you have tons of different variations. Really be mindful with this one. I know it's not a pose that's for everybody. So stacking the feet is just an option. Vashisthasana, if you feel feel safe and stable, reach your left fingertips high. Look for lots of length in the side body. Maybe lift your gaze. Light up your fire to support you. 3, 2, lift the hips higher, and 1. Nice. Land both hands down, reach your hips high and back. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Okay, draw your feet together. I'm going to walk you through those same options on the opposite side. So you can roll over to the outer blade of your left foot with active toes. You can step your right foot forward, so it's here. You can step your right foot back, so it's here. You can also land your left knee down so that it's here. Choose the one that fits your practice. Choose your own adventure, right? And then reach, maybe float your gaze up. Continue to lift your right hip high, looking for all the length in side body so we're not getting crunchy. Lots of space for that fire to expand. 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and come back towards center. Press back to downward facing dog. Land your knees down to the earth. Take both knees out really nice and wide. Make sure they're still cushioned by the mat or your blanket. So knees are wide, toes touch behind you. And take it on down, child's pose. We're going to start to slow down and smooth out. We definitely don't want to leave fire out of control in the system. You can stay right down in your child's pose. So we want to work to counter, balance, and neutralize that before you're off on your way and into your day after this practice. So slow it down, take a few more breaths. And then start to walk your hands, cat paw your hands up and in toward a kneeling. Slide your knees together at midline. We're going to walk through some Ustrasana or camel variation. So you have the option to stay right here, sitting back on your heels. So you can do from here, you can do with back supported, or you can come to rise all the way up to kneeling. So first variation, all yogis, please take your hands to your low back, fingertips pointing upward to the sky, scoop your elbows inward, lift your heart. So without a press or a force of your hips forward, it's really more about finding length and lift in the front of the body. Ustrasana, full fluid breath. Slide it on back to center. That option you can repeat for this second round if you'd like. Otherwise, you can tuck your toes under. You can reach back towards your heels. You can reach back towards blocks. Or with toes untucked, you can reach back towards heels or the soles of your feet. So take the variation that's going to fit your body today. And lean back. Find lots of lift in the heart. Ustrasana. Find a lot of length and some nice counter to all that core fire and all the crunchiness of the twists that we practiced. 3, 2, 1. Both of your hands to your low back if you're not already there. Lift slowly. And then come on down toward a seat. You can slide your sits bones down to one side, sneak your feet around in front of you. Draw your feet to touch at the midline, back to Parso Tanasana, so your knees can hinge wide. A little bit more of an active one to get inner line of your hips, again, after all that twisting. So lengthen your trunk, your torso, your ribs, space between each one, and lean your weight forward. Fold as shallow or as deep as you would like. Perhaps find blocks for support. You can bring even your elbows down, or maybe forehead down. And then inhale, Lift all the way back toward a nice tall seat. Here's where you get to get yourself as comfortable as you'd like, as comfortable as you can. I'm gonna roll my bolster forward so I can elevate my hips. If you have a pillow or bolster handy or a block, that might be very useful. As we take a pranayama to prepare to move down toward integration at Shavasana. So Shitali or Shitkari pranayama, a cooling breath to not to squash out the fire, but to kind of neutralize it and cool back down and soften the heart rate before we move toward a more meditative integration at Shavasana. So the two options are, for those that can roll the tongue, like so, as if you're making a straw shape with your tongue, you can do that. So the inhale will move through the straw that you create with your tongue. And then the exhale will move out, will exit through the nose. That's option A. Option B, if that tongue straw is not going to be available, is to open your mouth and breathe through your teeth. And so it's going to have the exact same impact. The air is going to pass through the teeth, over the surface of the tongue, and you'll feel it in your mouth really cooling down. So it gives a very cooling effect. So it's either here, and an exhale through the nose, or Shitali here, a roll of your tongue, and an exhale through your nose. So choose your variation. Let's take several rounds. Shitali or Shitkari. Inhale through your mouth, either through the roll of your tongue or through your teeth. Exhale through both nostrils. Notice any countering effect this has on the fire that you've built. Inhale through your mouth, through the roll of your tongue or over the surface of your teeth. Exhale through your nose. Inhale through your mouth. Exhale through your nose. Continue at your own pace for several more rounds. And after your next exhale, return to a natural cycling of your breath. A last little space to observe and contemplate, working to find Sama Agni, a balanced fire in our experience, so that it doesn't feel explosive or aggressive or out of control, but it also doesn't feel dim or lifeless. We need fire to stoke our decisions, our personality, to stoke our digestion, to stoke our metabolism, the toning of our torso. Fire is the element that guides the sense of sight as well. So fire feeds our whole system that resides right in there at Manipura. Take the last few moments to observe. Maybe notice again the color yellow that comes to your mind. Has it changed at all from the start of the practice? That's that yellow that's buffing up that gem at your solar plexus. You can spend the final few moments of your practice integrating in a meditation, dhyana, or if it serves you better, make your way all the way down to the earth towards Shavasana. Of course, I invite you to take any final posture, movement, gesture, breath that will make the practice feel more complete for you, particularly anything that is for inner line of the hips to counter those deep twists, or any sort of back bend or forward fold as well for countering all of those deep twists. So take the next moment or two to offer your body and your practice any last gift that it needs, and then settle in either for meditation or Shavasana. And as you're ready, wrapping up any final movements. If you're in anything asymmetrical, make sure to come to the other side. Grab any support you may need for your last meditation or Shavasana. And then ease yourself all the way down to the mat. You can open your palms if you're at the earth in Shavasana. Open your palms upward to the sky. Allow the big toe edges to open upward toward the sky. And soften yourself down into the earth. You ease into the lustrous nature of your balanced fire at Manipura, a space where we get our energy, our sense of lightness, our sense of autonomy, our independence, all of these beautiful aspects of the fire that resides at Manipura when we are in balance and nurturing healthy fire. Bathe in the warmth of that fire that you built, that you sustain through your tapas, that burning discipline, dedication of your practice. Start to lift your breath a bit more actively up to and through your whole system so that you can enliven with this dose of prana, a bigger, more active, more engaged breath. It will help you ease out of your integration back toward an active seat. So take all of the time you need. Lift into your breath. Start to tickle your fingers. Wiggle your toes. You can rock your head from side to side. Take a big, full, active stretch by reaching your arms up overhead, if that feeds your practice. And when you're ready, roll your way down onto your favorite side. Take several breaths there. And press yourself gently up toward a last seat where we can seal the practice. If you'd like, you can once again bring your thumb to the second knuckle of your ring finger. You can bookend the practice with Anjali Mudra, inviting in balanced fire to feed and cultivate a balanced Manipura solar plexus. I also invite you all to continue working on incorporating the Bandhas and help you to redirect and hone in on the fire practices in your system. So thank you all so much for joining today. Have a beautiful remainder of your day ahead. Namaste.